Okay, welcome to our Environmental and Community Services Committee on the 8th of April 2025. This meeting will be audio recorded and those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements. There are to be no recordings of this meeting without any prior authorisation of the committee. Our committee consists of Councillor McPhee, Councillor Clout, Councillor McGill and Councillor Stoltz. Welcome all. Any applications for attending meeting via video link?
Nil, Madam Chair.
Apologies.
Nil again.
Disclosures of interest?
None received.
Public participation?
Don't think you've got anything registered.
No. Site inspections?
No.
And business items, at least there's something there. Okay, so I'd like for us to have a look at ECSC 0.04.1. It's an application for 15 residential lots. I take the papers as read. Are there any comments, discussions at all?
Just that I hope that the issue of any potential water flooding onto the next property is taken into consideration when this lot is done, that there's no cheapskate option and that their place next door doesn't continue to get flooded, because obviously 14 extra houses is a lot of extra water.
Duly noted.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, that's obviously something that's been considered as part of the assessment, and they are proposing a detention basin at the back of the property that will take those flows and obviously reduce the rate of flow into the natural waterway to the north.
Anything else? Councillor McGill?
Yes, through you to Matt. That tree line just indicates that there's been a watercourse there. Is that the reality?
Through you, Madam Chair, I understand that was planted by a previous owner. I think that was where a future road was meant to be constructed at some point.
Yeah. One frustration I always have with these kinds of subdivisions is that the road is actually going to be due north, which means all of those blocks are facing east-west, which for when we're looking at reducing energy loads, it's the worst absolute direction you could be planning them. It's a continuous frustration of mine, but Moobie Road was there before this came. So that's just one comment that unfortunately it's once again an issue. Do we have someone to move this?
Madam Chair, just before you do, Matt, that detention basin, is that in the same area as the detention basin from the airport?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, it's not. This is on the adjoining block. So it's not near the airport as such.
Right. But both those detention basins from the airport and this will still run down the same watercourse.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
And the other one, just quickly, is I see two submissions there. The planting of trees along the fences, that's something that can be looked at a later date.
Yes, that can be.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a mover. McGill, seconded. Thank you, Councillor Stoltz. All in favour?
Can I just speak to that first, if I may? Just in moving this, I think we can support this development. I note some of the concerns raised by some of the respondents, and having lived in a house with 3 building sites around me, I'm very sympathetic. However, this is progress, and I had a drive down there yesterday. It reflects what's happening further down the street. So I think at this stage, infill is probably the wrong word, but it's consistent with the rest of that street. And I think it's to be applauded. My only other concern would be the staging of the development. The 4 blocks out the front are obviously going to finance stage 2. And we as a council need to make sure that stage 2 does go ahead and that we don't have a DA hanging there indefinitely. And we need to see some progress on that development into stage 2.
Thank you, Councillor McGill. All in favour? Okay, that would be carried. Also, I'd comment that those blocks are in keeping with the area, which I think is quite appropriate for that DA. Yeah. So that brings us to ECSC 0.04.2. This is our residential subdivision in Merriwar. Any comments, discussion points on this?
It's a case of back to the future. Right-of-ways are so 60s in town planning. This is just, there's no merit, zero merit, I'm afraid.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, I'll just make a comment. I certainly agree with Councillor McGill, but I mean, this is a, I think this needs to go through it somehow, if we could just sort those, you know, the accesses and a few other things. I mean, great to see Maryborough, but it's a long way from meeting the proposals, I think.
Councillor Ryan?
I was just going to make a similar comment to Councillor Collison, Mayor Collison. So I'd love to see this go ahead. I can see where the issues are, and I just hope there's a way that we can work with the proponent to make an amendment to this and to have this development go ahead. It's a great site in a really good location. It's a fantastic opportunity. It just needs a bit of work.
Councillor Stotts, did you?
Yeah, no, I
comment?
agree with comments from fellow councillors. Obviously, yeah, my understanding of the application is it's lacking the roads and easements for services. So maybe the applicant needs to take that into account and maybe, you know, reduce the 10 lot to an 8 lot to accommodate such, and then, yeah, it'd be suitable and very much needed.
Thank you, sir.
Just a question. The recommendation is a refusal. Is there any benefit in doing a deferral and allowing the proponents to come back with an alternative scheme?
Through you, Madam Chair, we did actually meet with the proponent and discuss all of these issues previously, and we thought we were heading in that direction. And then the applicant came back and wanted to keep the proposal as it is. So we have tried to have those discussions. At this point in time, I believe it's probably too late for that, for a deferral. The applicant can always submit a fresh application down the track.
Thank you.
I think they're all very sound comments. So someone like to move on the recommendation that it's refused. So thank you, Councillor Clout. Seconded, Councillor McGill. All in favour? All carried. Okay. That brings us to the end of this very short meeting at 10:37. Thank you all for coming, especially Councillor Stotts all the way from Maryborough. Thank you. And Councillor Ryan. Thank you.